welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be showing you how to do braids on ibispaint. Just basically how you do braid patterns if you choose to do hairstyles that have to be included with braids and things like that. And I had this hairstyle requested, like a ponytail that was braided just on the side, some simple thing like that, and I was like, fine, it's simple. The first thing that I wanted to do was show you how to get a coloured background that I always have before I do my hair tutorial. So yeah, to be honest, I just scrolled through my video and it weirdly didn't show me picking up the colour after I just made a new layer and put it underneath the mannequin, and then used the bucket tool to make the coloured layer. And when you do that, you have to make the mannequin layer invisible. And yeah, it didn't show all of that, it just skipped right through, which was really weird. But anyways, the first thing that we're gonna do is just cut down the Avi's head because it's got to look flat. The hairstyle has to look a little bit flatter and not too big. So you don't have to do it with every hairstyle, it just depends which ones. But if you want a flat looking hair, you gotta erase half of the head so it doesn't look weird, you know. We're not completely erasing half of the top of the head. When you're doing it, make sure it still looks like a perfect circle and it doesn't look like it has a weird shape at the top. So take your time with that, and then it should only take you like 3 minutes, and then we can actually start doing the hairstyle. I am now going to be creating a new layer, and I'm just choosing the colour black. I think you should do black first and then you can change the colour later like I am at the end of the video. And I'm going to be using the pen fade brush to do this hairstyle. By the way, I need to stop saying this right in the middle of the tutorial, but I am going to be putting the mannequin in the description because a lot of people do ask me for it, and yeah, you can have it. But I do recommend you try to make your own, so I'm going to make a updated tutorial on how to make your own mannequin because my other one is like almost a year old. So yeah, I'm going to make a new one. And so we're just going to be using the pen fade throughout the whole video for this hairstyle. We're not going to be switching brushes. Oh yeah, but we are going to switch brushes when we start to do the braid pattern though. When you start doing this side, which is technically the edges, just use really light strokes on this part. So this is a great why we're using the pen fade and not the other brushes, because you can control the way you use this brush and do really nice edges with it. So just make sure the size is really low like mine is, and just do light strokes, and then you can start going really dark with it and fill that area in. If you feel like you didn't fill it in properly, if you're doing this as a wig, then make the mannequin layer invisible so you can fill that in. I'm going to be doing that soon. At the moment, the top of the head looks really bad, so I'm just going back and forth between the first layer that we just did and the hair base layer, and just fixing it up, making sure it looks like a perfect circle. So that's what you basically have to do if yours look like mine at the moment. And then when you see like little bits poking out, then you just gotta fill it back in. and it will look back to normal. Now we're going to start doing the base before the braid patterns, and we're going to be using the pen fade still. And whilst we're doing this, you're going to create, like, I don't even know how to call it, but you see as I'm doing it. At the moment, kind of messed up at the end, but it's fine. I still made it work. And at the moment right now, make sure it looks like this. And when I'm done, I'm going to be going back creating strands for each swirl circle, that's what I'm going to call it. Now we're going to start doing the braid pattern. Trust me, it's so simple to do when you get the hang of it, so keep practicing it. You're going to just get a colour like I have, since we're all going to be starting with black for the hair and changing it afterwards. And the brush that I'm looking for is right in between the blurring brush and I forgot where else, but it's like right in between, and I'm just going to show that right now. So you can see it like right there, it's in between the hair dark and the blurring brush, and that's the brush that we're going to be using. It's the same brush that I used for my other hair tutorial on how to get realistic looks for your hair repaints. So yeah, this part is kind of like really hard to explain, so you would understand how you need to do this. So make sure you've got a new layer for this, and then you want to have your stabilization on and have like all of it on, like you just saw what I did, and then we can start. So just imagine how braids look in your head so you know what you're doing, and make sure your brush is the right size, so it's not too big and it's not too small, because if it's too big then you can't do the other side to create looking braids. Then when I need to erase anything or just trying to make fade in the detail, make sure that your brush is on a fade mode, and I have the 60 airbrush one on, and it's kind of weird doing this on ibispaint. It doesn't feel the same on Procreate, and I do get questions, which is better, Procreate or ibispaint? It's Procreate, it's so much better, and there's so much better brushes, especially when you're trying to have glitters for highlights and things like that. So much better. And now we're going to be making a new layer for the next part of the braid that we're doing, and you're just going to keep doing that. So every time you complete one bit, you gotta make a new layer for the next bit, because you're going to be fading, erasing, and you don't want that to affect the other side that you just did. So that's why you have to make a new layer, and after we've finished, we're going to be merging all those layers down anyway. So basically you're doing a seam kind of shape with this, and then when you get to the right side, make sure it looks like it's going inwards, and then it's still like a C shape going outwards, and you can kind of see a braid forming in your edit. My braid is kind of big, so it doesn't look tight and look like an actual braid, but if you want that, then you can just make the size of the hair smaller and you can actually see a braid. But yeah, this is basically how you do it, and I'm just gonna keep showing you how I do it all the way halfway down and then move on to the next bit. So now when you're done, you're going to be merging all the layers down, but be careful, we're not merging the hair base down, just the hair details down. And then we're going to create a new layer, and we're just going to be using that same brush to do details on the top of the hair. So make sure the brush is nice and big, and so you can spread it out. Make sure it's more closely together and not a little bit far apart, because it is part of the hair looking realistic, and if it's a bit far apart and not together, then it's gonna look really weird when we use multiply to darken those areas where we try to fade into the hair with the eraser, if you get what I mean. So I want you to ignore like the other side of the hair, because I'm gonna redo it and show you how to do it. But for now, on the other side, I'm just doing the fades again, and then I'm gonna show you redoing the other side of the hair. So where the edges are, make sure the brush size is back to small, like the size we had it on when we was doing the edges in the color black with the pen fade. Just act like you're doing that, and just to be past the edges, and then put the brush back to big, really big, and then do what I'm doing in the video right now, and then we're going to be doing the same thing to the other end of the hair. we are almost done, nuggets. So now we are gonna just merge down the rest of the details, which was the top of the hair, and now we can start changing the color. So I'm gonna go back to the base color, and we're actually gonna merge that down too, and we're gonna go on filter and go on the option change drawing color and change the color to however you want it. So I changed it to a red that kind of looked pink when I was done. So yeah, and then whatever color you chose for your edit, make sure the highlight looks similar to the hair color. To change the highlight colors, you're going to be using filter and then color balance, and you're going to change the highlight color this way. Right now this is the second to last step, and your new layer is going to be on multiply, and then you eyedrop the hair color that you chose, which is dark, not the highlight, and then use the dip pen hard brush for this. And remember, because I don't, to remove the stabilization and make sure your method is back on real time, because if it's left on after, then you're still going to have that feeling like my brush right now. See, I forgot to do it. I always do. And we're just creating darker areas where we try to use the eraser to fade it in more to help when we're doing this step right now. So sometimes you have to go back and a little bit darker on some areas, and yeah, we're just gonna keep doing this, and I'm just gonna show you me doing this halfway, and then I'm gonna skip it right through when I go back to the top of the hair. So basically you're just going back and forth between the blur tool, because we're not going to go back and forth going filter then Gaussian blur. It feels like a long process, especially because they did the update for the app, and I just think it's more convenient using the blur tool to do this. And you don't need to make a new layer because we didn't use the Gaussian blur, so you don't need to make a new layer. So this is why it's better to use the blur tool, because you can just go over the same areas and don't need to go back and forth making new layers. So yeah. I skipped the last part, but that doesn't mean you should have, because that last part should have been done. I just wanted to skip it so I didn't feel like the video was too long. And yeah, so you're going to be adding dark areas to the sides and in the middle, and then do the same on the other side of the hair. And then you're just going to highlight using the blur tool again instead of the Gaussian blur, but on a new layer, of course, not on the same one as the multiply layer. And then you're basically done after that. Also, I can tell that the base of the mannequin's head can still be seen under the hair, so I'm obviously, I know I'm gonna fix that at the end of the video. Well, I did fix that, but yeah. Can also tell that the hair base, you can see it come through from the edges. That's fine, because when you put a wig on someone, they obviously don't have hair around that. It's just the hair base, so you're fine. You don't need to try to cover it up a little bit more. This is the last step, nuggets, and you're creating a new layer for the highlights, and then you're done, like I said before. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and comment down what you found difficult and just anything you want me to explain more, if you just parts that you didn't get. And then also comment down other videos that you want me to do, like tutorials. So that's it, nuggets. That's it. I hope you didn't find it really hard to do. And if you're new to my channel, subscribe and turn on post notifications. And I'll see you in my next video.